Hi, I'm Jay Hill, and I'm here with my good friend, the broadcasting legend.
That means old.
Dave Rutherford, for another edition of the Dave and Jay Show. As you know, this vlog is where we discuss issues of importance to Albertans and indeed to all Canadians. Today we've decided to touch on oil pipelines and specifically the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Expansion Project. Now, Dave, it was a few days ago that a couple of female protesters were actually sentenced to 7-day jail terms for illegally defying the court injunction. So that's a good place to start.
It is a good place to start, and I'm glad the judge, in this case, Justice Kenneth Affleck, finally decided to get, as we've seen over the past few months, finally get tough with some of these protesters and sending these two women to jail. I don't know why it's gone on so long with these mamby-pamby kind of sentences, community service and maybe a fine. The judge himself said that's obviously not a deterrent, so someone is going to have to pay. There are going to be consequences. Let me read one quote before you jump in. The judge said, "That is not a basis, the fact that you believe strongly in something. That's not a basis on which anyone can expect to defy the law without any consequence." Jay, finally some consequence.
Exactly. And, you know, while I applaud this judge and the effort he's taking to escalate the consequences for these people that are illegally, and I want to stress that they're illegally protesting this project.
It is contempt of court.
Exactly. But I believe that under Section 9210C of our country's Constitution, there's something called a declaratory power that would give the federal government, who is now supposedly the owner of this project, would give them the power to override the courts, to override the provinces, and get this thing built.
Override? Like it would, they can ram it through without any consequence on the courts themselves? The federal government can?
Well, I believe that it would be very difficult. Let me put it that way. Very difficult and highly unlikely. This is a power in our Constitution that the Fathers of Confederation put in there back in 1867. It was used over 400 times, but governments have been unwilling to use it since 1963, other than once. Most of the time it was used for railway right-of-ways, Dave. Okay, and so why not a pipeline right-of-way?
Well, I mean, maybe that's the way to go. You can see it would be challenged, though. I mean, somebody would go to court. It would end up in the Supreme Court of Canada, where some of the stuff might end up anyway. It would eventually have to get there, Jay. I can only see that happening because these activist provinces and these protesters, they're going to use the courts to their advantage.
Well, I've been absolutely appalled at the fact that our federal government and Prime Minister Trudeau in particular has been unwilling to act to force the provincial government of John Horgan and Andrew Weaver, the Green Party leader, to force them to allow this to go ahead. I mean, this is ridiculous under our Constitution. They seem to forget over in British Columbia, and that used to be my home province, they seem to forget that Vancouver is Canada's port, not just British Columbia's port.
No, they think they're a special region, Jay. It's on the other side of the Rocky Mountains. You know that. I don't think they think they're part of Canada. Nonetheless, this idea of the courts intervening is a tool, obviously, Horgan is using. This Burnaby is now going to court to try to clear out that ramshackle mess of a camp called Camp Cloud to get that thing out of there, but they're going to use the courts to fight that. This is a court battle all the way, and I think even your declaratory power would end up in court.
Well, it's possible, but I think that we as a country and the federal government as now the new owner of this project need to use whatever powers are at its disposal to get it done and done as quickly as possible. That's where I'm coming from.
Why can't the RCMP just go in and clean these guys out, tear down that pile of crap and get it out of there?
They've been protesting. And been arresting protesters.
Well,
but look at how slow it is. I mean, none of them have even, over half of them haven't even been convicted yet. You know, so anyway, you know, that's our show for another week. Thanks for watching.